There's a story inside every smoke shop, with every cigar, and with every person. Come be a part of the cigar lifestyle at Boveda. This is Box Press. So how long have you been smoking cigars, Nico?
Man, so what I'm in my early 40s. I'm 43. So probably, man, 20 years. You know, interesting enough, I started smoking cigars from cigars, right? I've never tried a cigarette. I've never had a desire. And I remember being somewhere and seeing this guy smoke a Fuente. And the aroma of that cigar was so intoxicating. And this guy looked so cool. I said, "Oh man, I gotta get into that."
Right?
And I tried a Macanudo, was my very first, and it was okay. But what it did do was it fueled the passion to want to know more and to really, really dive deep into it. And I was just, you know, Fuente was always my go-to, whether it was the short story, the 858, down the line, the Word of Art, the Canoes, and a few others from there. And then, of course, you know, the Opus X would, you know, that was available if you could get it, and really branching out to try different cigars.
Yeah.
I gotta admit something. I've always, you know, the 858 gets so much attention, and so many people like it. And no matter who I give it to, they like it. I tried to hate that cigar. I tried to be
Me
like,
too.
you know what?
Me too.
It's
This
tough.
is just one of those everyday cigars. And every time I light it, I get wowed by it. And I'm like, I can't hate this cigar.
I know.
love it every time I smoke it.
Construction's
Yeah.
perfect.
I have to be honest. And it's not personal to Fuente or anything like that. It's nothing personal. I just tried to hate the hype that cigar has.
Yeah.
And this is every time I'm like, oh God, this is so good.
Right. So I have a great story. So I'm like you, Nico. First cigar was when I'm 48. First premium cigar. I'd never had a cigarette, never chewed, never had alcohol. Cigars were first. I had a few occasional cigarettes in college.
Okay.
But my first cigar was the Hoyo de Monterrey Excalibur No. 2 Maduro, like big Churchill chocolate bomb cigar.
Okay.
Would smoke them, I don't know, half a dozen, maybe 10 cigars a year when I was in college, and I was going to school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And we were in Florida with our show choir from college, and we're all going to jump in the pool, and I'm like, I need a cigar. You know, we've had a few beers, so we're all a little, you know, hyped up. And I like run across the parking lot from our hotel to this little gas station convenience store, and they had like a few nicer cigars, and one of them was Macanudo. And I come running back like a kid at Christmas. I'm like, guys, I got a cigar. It's in a tube and everything. And they still give me shit about it today because they're like, remember how excited you got about that dumb cigar? What's funny is Rob's perception of the 858, I think for me is the same when it comes to like a Macanudo. Can they smoke great? Absolutely.
Oh,
Do I smoke many? No, but it's that perception that was a cigar that was always around 30 years ago when I was a kid. You know, at any convenience store that might have cigars, you'd see them in those tubes, or they'd like, because the packaging on the 858 has that kind of old fashioned gold, you know, almost cursive 858 script. It looks like a Walgreens kind of cheapo cigar. Mm-hmm. But every time you grab it, you're like, damn, this is good.
So you're smoking an Angel Share Opus. Is it the what is it? The tiger? What is it called? The shark? Is it that shape?
No,
it's like Churchill almost, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
And what year is that one?
Yeah, this actually is a 20, maybe a 19.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Maybe 2019.
I've had a couple of those.
I just lit it, so I haven't gotten into it though. I mean, is it good?
I enjoyed it when I smoked it. Yeah.
I've never smoked it, so
I'll be honest. I don't smoke a ton of Opus X, but if they have some age on them, then I really like them. You know, a couple years of age, then I really enjoy them.
That's right. I'm with you on that.
I'm smoking the Fuente. Is it Destino Siglo?
Destino Siglo.
Destino Siglo.
Yep.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
a good
got
stick.
gifted this from a good buddy, Dave, and it is very tasty. I don't know what year this is from, but
it's real good.
Really good.
I got it. can I see the rep? I may have to get some of those. I mean, anything by Toro Fuente, I think is great. Oh yeah. Oh okay, yeah. I gotta try that out.
It's
Yeah.
it's got basically I don't know which Fuente that is on the label there, but it's got what, Carlos and Carlito on the sides.
Yep. So it must be
Yeah.
the grandfather.
I would guess, yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's impressive. They got a great history.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh,
Did
it's
you
crazy.
see the episode that we recorded with Sean and Tim, Box Press 25th anniversary?
Yes,
Dude,
that's really
the
good.
history there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just so cool.
It surprises me that they were, where they are now in the DR, but starting out and doing some of their age drying in Tampa. Some of that history that's still there in Ybor. Good shout out to Tampa Sweethearts. I love when I'm in
Oh
that area. I'm making a
God,
point
yeah.
to stop by there.
That's a great
yeah,
shop.
I think so.
Sean, our CEO, goes to Tampa Sweethearts because he lives in Florida now, in Tampa, and he likes their house cigar. What's it called? The
Ybor City.
Oh, the
Florida-
Ybor City.
Florida
Ybor.
Ybor City.
yeah.
And so I ordered some of those last year, and both boxes, handwritten notes from, which Fuente is it? I forget. I think it's Carlos. I think it's another Carlos, but
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think he's there every day. That'd be a great guy.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Such a good cigar. I smoked one yesterday on the ride home on my motorcycle, and I was like, dang, this is good. So good.
It's a great everyday stick. So
Yep.
when they talks about the good price point, I was giving them out to people because when I discovered them, I was like, hey, you got to try this guy. Like, I never heard of this. I'm like, so then when you tell them that hey, this is a Fuente everyday smoke, and then people are clamoring for them.
Right?
It
It's like,
is
what, $5, $4.50, something like that.
yeah, something like that. I usually buy them like in 5-packs. I don't think I've actually bought a box, but I usually buy them in 5-packs.
Yeah.
Because I buy other, just Fuente brand. But yeah, I mean, it's a great smoke though.
And I think when I got them, I bought 20, and they're ones that I give out to very light smokers here at the office because it's a really great, easy smoking
So
cigar, but it's
Mhm.
got great flavor. I think I bought they came bundled. I don't think it was in a box of 20, but yeah,
Right.
it was comically inexpensive.
really good.
Yeah.
Where are you smoking, by the way?
I thank you for asking. I'm actually in downtown Baltimore City. I am at the Quintessential Gentleman, the QG. I don't know if you've
Nice.
ever been here,
No.
but it is a haberdashery. It's everything for men. I mean, you can get a custom suit here. They've got a bar where they do their own private label barrels with some great whiskey brands. They've got a barbershop and spa on the level. You get your shoes shine, and then of course they have a great place where you can smoke cigars. And so
Awesome.
Craig and Rusty, I told them I was doing this interview, and they were more than gracious to allow me to to come down and to host me. So it's a great spot. If you're ever in Baltimore,
We're
please
coming
see
there.
me, and we're gonna go.
And when you come to Minneapolis, we have a place that is almost spitting image of what you just described. A guy who's become a really good friend over the last year. His name is Derek Reed, owns something called Club Caraway, named after Nick Carraway from The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
And it's in a historic mansion just off of downtown Minneapolis, just south of it, like on the other side of Highway 94. And it's in the carriage house. So you walk in, the first floor is a huge, beautiful, all, wood millwork, 20s inspired leather chairs. Literally in the main lounge, there is a bespoke stereo system. That's a local Minneapolis company that built the stereo for that room,
Sounds
with
really
the tubes and everything. And then he has bespoke suiting. That's kind of in the middle. So custom suits and fully bespoke, fully custom suits start at $9.95. Like beautiful suits.
Beautiful.
And then he has 2 barber chairs. So you can do a grooming membership. I do that. Go 3-4 times a month, beard trim, haircut. And then you go and open up a bookcase, and it takes you down the stairs to the private cigar lounge in the basement, the old coal room.
Wow.
Super similar to what you guys have going on there.
I mean, you're almost describing. I mean, here they have smoking jackets for members, and it was great because after when I used to wear suit and ties, I would take my suit jacket off and put the robe off, and while you look very distinguished, it actually served a true purpose which was to limit the amount of smoke,
Yeah.
coupled with the humidification in there, and if you drop some ash, it didn't get on you, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that sounds like a cool spot. This is a members place as well, but they've got member boxes, and some parts are open to the public and others aren't. I will say one of the other cool things about this place is that they have a really cool large selection of barber products in terms of like barber coats, the wax coats and all those things.
Yeah.
They've got a great selection of that. So it's really cool. I was on a plane once, and a lady, they were connecting flight, and she was from Minneapolis, and so she said to me, I said, I've heard some great things about the area, the Twin Cities and all. And she says, anytime you come, she said, this is my information. Please come. I promise you, you will enjoy yourself after about the entire plane ride. She gave me her information. She's like, look, you could stay at my house. I can tell you're not crazy. You could stay at my house and have a good time. I thought she was crazy, but I wish I had information to take it up. But I think it's a true a testament to the people there, and of course, shout out to Prince and all in that area. Just great people. So it was a pleasure.
Yeah, that is so cool. That friend, that extension of somebody's home is so personal. Takes a lot to get there, but I ended up watching a documentary or some sort of film where the gentleman was actually just traveling from one point of, like, let's say Alaska all the way down to the end of Mexico. And the only thing he could do was either sleep in his car or
I watched that.
Yeah. What was it
Oh
called?
my gosh, it was so cool. And he literally relied entirely for food, lodging, everything on the kindness of strangers.
I remember that. I don't think I remember something about
was
that.
it called Be Kind?
Man.
He's in a yellow Volkswagen
Hatchback or something? Yeah, like the
Yes.
hatchback or something?
It's a convertible. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So many cool stories. You're just like just average Joe on the street, and then all of a sudden you find out that they're like helping the youth in the community with drugs and alcohol addiction and having a place to stay. And you're like, wow, like no wonder why you said yes to letting me stay here. But just it's so cool how people
gotta
can
look
get
this
connected like that.
It was called The Kindness Diaries.
There you go.
And it's
Kindness
fantastic.
Diaries.
Yep, The Kindness Diaries. And it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like
Kindness
a little,
Diaries.
I don't know if it was a Volkswagen, but it was a yellow convertible Volkswagen looking car.
Yeah, it was a Volkswagen.
Yep.
It was a vintage.
Yeah, it was on Netflix.
It's an amazing documentary.
Super good.
Let's
I'm
get into why you're even on Box Press. You went ahead and you went to a charity event, and we put up for auction this opportunity to get some cool Boveda stuff, a humidor, all that good stuff, and then also have the opportunity to sit down with whomever bid on this. And I kind of thought to myself, hey, no one's going to know what Box Press is. No one's going to care about that. The glitz and the glamour are the Boveda humidor, maybe the cigars they threw in there. I don't know what they did. But,
this.
yeah, it's like, oh, you get a Box Press area. Somebody's going to be like, I don't want that part. That's actually kind of what I was banking on, is somebody being like, nah, I don't want that. But Nico, you've been, this drew your attention. You knew about the whole Box Press.
Oh, absolutely. They had some other really tantalizing offers, and I bid on one or two other things, but my focus was this particular package. The elusive acrylic humidors are fantastic, as well as the other swag that you guys sent is really cool. But to do this and to be here with you all is it is really, really probably one of the coolest things I've done. So how could I pass on bidding on something like that?
Awesome.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so glad we got the right guy in the seat, because it just makes the interview that much better.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. But you do have an interesting background that I kind of want to dive into.
Sure.
You started a for-profit company called Golden Bear.
Golden Bear. Yep.
And it's a corporate social responsible company, correct? Am I getting that right?
Yep. Yeah, it's corporate social responsibility. So it's a consulting company where we bridge the gap between CEOs of companies, and we bridge the gap between them and nonprofits and other entities that are not for profits or organizations, and help them to work better in the community. I mean, that's extremely important. As we see, as crime rise and other things happen, one thing is very clear: everybody blames everybody else, but the true component, or the other piece of that, is the business community. And the business community really doesn't say much, depending, for a myriad of factors and reasons, but they should be a part of the conversation. And I think they are able to help, change the narrative, if you will, for positive, whether it's creating jobs, whether it is creating opportunities for influx of not just cash, but resources and man hours to really help other organizations. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you're really just trying to
Cool.
pair the nonprofits with the companies so that they can do good work together.
That's right. Yeah. Golden Bear, it's interesting. Someone says, why are you Golden Bear? I'm like, why not? If you got James Bond and GoldenEye and all these other things, if Jack Nicklaus could be the bear, why can't we be Golden Bear? I think the
Yeah.
opportunity is that you got to have your eye on something, right? And as we look at things that are golden, if you will, that's a little more shiny. And so that opportunity is really good. And so, look, I've been in the for-profit world. I'm currently executive director of a nonprofit, which is called Community Housing Associates, where they house those that are mentally ill and homeless. I'm trying to do my part, to really, really change the tide. And I think it's working one step at a time.
Yeah. Here's what I like about this statement that you filled out on this questionnaire. So how does your career relate to your family background? You said you grew up an only child by a single mother. You understood that there were people who needed help, not handouts, in some capacity to be the best they could be. The nonprofit I run is working to ensure homelessness is brief and there is I believe, safe place for people to live.
Yep.
So I love that, because oftentimes we get into the politics of how to help people, and whether that means it's a paycheck and just a monetary donation, or if it's truly going to just focus on how to get one person from point A to point B. And I think the more you focus on the point A to point B, then you actually start to do good works.
That's right. That's right. It's important that we get to the basics, right? We always, from a political perspective, we can argue about how it's funded. We can argue a lot of different things. But the basics are people need shelter. The basics are, people need jobs. The basics are people need to eat. In an economy where we are currently, whether it's it's inflation and we're hitting a recession or not, whatever that may be, the goal is, how do we help somebody else? And I think if everybody did that, I think we could really, really move forward as a society. I think, over time, look, we've been selfish. We're only worried about ourselves. And I think that's true to some degree, right? Like you have a right to be selfish and protect yours, right? I have a wife. I have a beautiful 1-year-old, and I want her to be in a place and understand that there's more to life than just absorbing things, right? We've got to get away from the collection of trinkets and toys, and more so, and not saying that's bad. I mean, I do it myself, so I'd be a hypocrite saying that I don't.
Right.
But we've got to really work to help others. And I think in the time we are now, we saw that a lot during the pandemic, right? Tremendous amount of need. Mental health was highlighted in that. Mm-hmm. Growing up with my mother, she was a single parent. I understood what the stressors were, right, of not really making it. But she also understood the importance of having a young Black boy in Washington, D.C., the need for this young kid to be cultured. And so we did go to plays. She exposed me to theater and other things. And she, exhausted her resources to send me to private school. And I am always eternally grateful for her sacrifice to allow me to live. And so I try to give back everywhere I can, not just to her, but to others around me.
The things that we do just out of sheer kindness for people are the things that impact us the most. And it's so interesting that doing something for somebody else has a uniquely selfish benefit in that we feel great when we do that. And so why people don't, it takes people a while to realize how great you feel when you do something for somebody else. And then once they do, they start to realize, wait, this is pretty amazing. I need to do this way more often.
I agree. Look, we're all in this age of social media, and we all were born before social media. So I like to say we're OGs in this social
Yeah.
media game, right? So
Gen
when we
X,
think
baby.
about how we got there to where we are, and I see people now, and they bring up a great point of kind of doing things under the radar. When I see people who are recording themselves doing great deeds for other people, I'm always torn because the one side is that it's great that somebody's doing it. The other side is, you know, there could be possible humiliation of the other person
Yeah.
that is receiving that, right? Or other things. Is there a self-serving point that they're doing that's deep-seated for the person that's recording that? But I then look and think that whatever that may be, and all that could be true or not, is that the hope is that it inspires someone to want to do something for somebady else.
That's
Yes.
what I think it
I
is.
agree.
And that's got to be the inspiration, right? At the end of the
Mhm.
day, it's funny
Right.
that you say I was out a few weeks ago. I went to a Pappy tasting a few months ago, and that was just crazy. By the way, it was it was really cool. They auctioned off the bottles at the end, and all the proceeds went to a really great charity. And we left and then went to dinner across the street at this restaurant. And I ran into a bartender that I know from one of the great steakhouses here in they around the country, but the steakhouse. And I used to go there often. And he was just a really knowledgeable guy and really just a good person. And I saw him there with his family. And I just, told the lady, hey, look, I'll buy all their appetizers because they had quite a few of them. I just told him it was good to see him. And we left. And I didn't want him to know that I did it because he's a great guy and it was the least that I could do because I hadn't seen him in a while. So I think those things go a long way.
I think one of the coolest, and I saw it through Instagram, one of the coolest videos where it was done through social media, but it was still anonymous. So this guy and his team went to a local grocery store and talked to the manager and said, hey, I want to, pick some people that maybe are struggling to pay their groceries or look like they maybe have a big family or what have you. And I don't know how he picked which families or what criteria he used, but he had a microphone and earpiece and the manager had an earpiece, but he wasn't there. So they're filming the guy off, away from the grocery store aisles, but watching the grocery store lanes, and he'd go, I want to buy their groceries. And then that cashier would just take a credit card that he gave them and that your groceries are covered.
That's
and
very
then
cool.
They just filmed the reaction of those people, and it's just waterworks.
Wow.
And it's really powerful because it's social media, but it's done again as anonymously as possible. And those people leave going, "Why would somebody do that? Like, why would you?"
It's great.
No, I think
it's great. Yeah, it's great. Look, I mean, no one. The minute that somebody doesn't have any sense of pride, if you will, and they're like, "Hey, I need this, I need that." That's when you have to act, right? And there are people who, because of the economy that we're in currently, some people would say, that I'm just not doing well, especially our service industry, right? Bartenders and people who would typically do well and do okay aren't doing okay. There are a lot of restaurants that still aren't doing okay. There's still people who aren't doing okay. And the sacrifice that is made when people are trying or vacillating, rather, I'm going to pay a bill or food. And if you've got kids, then, obviously that is a whole nother factor. And when someone comes in and does something like that, it's a tremendous, I think, weight lifted off of it because that money can go somewhere else. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. And I'm with Rob. I think the world needs so much more of that flooded on our news, on our social media feeds, because there's so much just ugly, gross content that, we're exposed to. Because, a lot of bad stuff goes on in the world. But when you see those snippets, which are happening all around us, we just might not be aware of them. I think when you see it on social media, maybe in some way that piques your attention and says, maybe I should start looking for that. It's like Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers. There are always people that are helping, because Mr. Rogers is the absolute best.
Gosh. Yeah.
I apologize to interrupt you there. When you said Mr. Rogers, I know they did a movie or documentary on him. And I haven't seen it, but I didn't want to see it because I was afraid that there was going to be something terrible about Mr. Rogers, that he was like this bad guy off camera, right? Like yelling at people and everything. But then after seeing some of the clips, and there was a kind of and after a documentary about the movie or about him, it was impressive to see that this was a man that literally lived past the hype, if you will,
Absolutely.
of being one to give and to really talk about tough subjects that even to this day, here we are in 2022, people still don't want to talk about
Yeah.
or uncomfortable about talking about. So, yeah.
And with kids, I mean, he did these conversations with kids who have all of
Yeah.
these questions.
Yeah.
And if those questions don't get answered when you're a kid, you still have those questions as an adult. And where's the safe space to talk about difficult stuff?
Sure.
We don't do that enough. And I can say from having seen both the movie and the documentary, he is as exceptional off the camera as he was on camera. I mean, just, a really rare individual, but I would say if you watch it, like have some tissues nearby, because it is, it's good.
Nico, I asked you a question in your questionnaire. It's what is your vision / goal for yourself in the next year?
The vision and goal for myself in the next year. I mean, it's pretty simple. As we're having this, it's interesting, kind of, I guess, the theme, and maybe a theme. But to be better than I am, last year. Look, I always strive to be better than I am the day before, the hour before. I'm far from perfect. I sometimes can do things and like, damn, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And I'm cognizant of that. The goal is always to be better, to do better. I think that when you surround yourself around people who are doing better in all aspects, whether it's doing well in business and those that are conscientious of the world that we live in and are making it a point to want to do for others is imperative. For me, it is all of those things and more. What can I do to be better? And I think that's a self-reflection. I mean, we always can talk about, I want to make more money. I want to, win the lottery and drive, the best Ferrari out there or whatever that may be for you. But how can I be better? Right. And then that's a self-reflection of what can I do to be the best? When we think about life and what's important to us, I think the one thing that the pandemic has shown us is that at the end of the day, we thought this was like 2 weeks. I remember, we were going through this and everybody was saying, hey, it's 2 weeks, man, we're back to this. And things started really, really shutting down. And this wasn't 2 weeks, and then you're forced to be in this home. And you hope that you love that person or people.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the comedians, he said, look, he realized that, what? We're not meant to spend all these hours at home together. No. So I think a lot, So it's one of those things where you really decide what's important to you, how do you live your life, and how can you improve it? And then you're right, though, Rob. Look, you're constantly learning. Anybody who says they stop learning, that's a problem, because I think you're learning until you die. I mean, I'm always learning more about cigars, and I'm learning more about life one day at a time through mistakes. And the goal is to not make as many of those mistakes, to enjoy the life and not the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Rob, you'll remember this because Rob had Luciano Meireles of Ace Prime Cigars. So I think you might be familiar with him. We were talking about that concept of master blenders, and that could, transition over to master distillers. These names get tossed around quite a bit. He said there's not a single cigar maker that would consider themselves a master blender, because they are still learning new ways to use tobacco, new ways to roll cigar. They're still learning and honing their craft well into their later years, and they don't consider themselves masters. It's generally a title that someone else confers on them. Same you watch any of those whiskey documentaries. All of the best blenders and producers, the ones that really excel well into their later years, they're constantly learning. They're constantly open to new information, to going, wait, you might be right. I didn't think of it that way. Let's try that. Those are the people that not only are they constantly learning, but they stay vibrant, well until their later years, until they die, because they're open to new information. They're open to learning new stuff. And I think that's where I want to be.
Sure. I think I agree with you, Nate. I think that's a great way to look at it. We are all constantly learning, and to be honest, look, I think I'm learning from you guys as you talk about this cooling cap. I've got to get one of these things and see what it's like. But in the reality of life itself, we have to constantly learn. We have to seek out information, right? I think if we are just told information, I don't know if it's really information, right? Information is something that you've got to really seek it out and understand, because I think information has to be truth, and I think that is important for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like that, seeking it out, not just being like, oh, I heard that, so then I believe it. You know, you really got to like internalize it in order
That's
to
right.
believe it.
Ask a lot of questions.
This kind of leads into, you said your favorite quote is, we can always do more. But as I've looked at my life and started going through, could I be doing more? I've actually started to do less so that I can be better at what I do. So I've had to learn, especially through COVID, to say no. Like I used to always want to be out on the go, get together with people. I'm a strong extrovert. And that
Same
no,
here.
yeah, that no and that force into not being on the go, not distracting the self, and getting into not always doing more. How do you balance that? Because it is a strong pull to always want to do more, but at what point do you realize I can't do more because I can't do it right?
Wow, I think that's a great point. One of the things that I learned is that, I mean, as a business owner, consulting for others, I remember working 80-hour weeks, right? Like, and there was a point where I would, wake up before my wife got up, and I was home after she was sleeping. I mean, this was just
Wow.
tremendous. And to that point, COVID really, really showed me that there's so much more to doing that. And it goes back to holding the phone, right? I don't want to hold the phone. I want to live in the moment. I want to capture the moment and have it mentally. And it doesn't mean, you don't take pictures and all these other things to enjoy it.
Right.
But I really want to share in the moment. And I think that is so important. And saying no is important. It also means, like, you know what? I've done all I can do today. All right.
Mhm.
If I stay 2 more hours, it does not change today. So
Right.
I'm going to pack it up and I'm going to come back tomorrow refreshed and give it another go. Again, I think that goes back to being intentional about doing just that. Look, if you remember on your news, I'm sure, no traffic, right? I think I heard something that because people had stopped driving for the long period of time, that the environment had staved off like another 5 years, or increased another 5 years in longevity of the environment, or birds were doing more than whatever we saw. I remember national news of the wild animals were coming closer in because people were not out.
Wow.
I think we've got to really, really take into account. And I think from your point, Rob, look, if we do less for ourselves, then we are doing more, and to focus specifically on things as opposed to 12 other things, and not really that focus. So I think it's important.
Yeah.
Love it. You also said here that you were a big brother, or you had a big brother when you were younger, and that was a positive influence and helped you tremendously get into the business world. You also said your mother was an influence because she made sacrifices, which we've talked about. With that, I mean, was your father present with you growing up?
No, actually, he wasn't. And so, just to go back to the big brother, and I'll come back to that because I think that comes full circle. So I appreciate you bringing that up. No, my father wasn't present. It wasn't like I didn't know who he was, but that was just an interesting dynamic because I went to a Catholic school, which really focused on humility and giving back. So we would go to soup kitchens. Religion class taught me quite a bit about the compassion of others, and you can have 5 people who are checking on one person, but if no one's actually checking on that person could die. There's a great article in the New Yorker years ago about these people who were charged with taking care of this woman, and she died from just not eating because everyone was supposed to check on her and they didn't. And I learned that in religion class, and it taught me a lot. So interesting enough, I used to take the bus coming home, and I would see my father, on the bus from time to time. So we would talk, but we didn't have a relationship until, again, present time, right? And I think that's a lot of forgiveness. I had a lot of animosity against him because a part of really more for my mother when I reflect on it than myself, because I'm like, man, how could you let my mom struggle like that? And we can take the financial component out of it. Being present, right? I think it says a lot. Having a big brother, my mother was very in tune to that and understanding that, hey, this ain't a little black boy who doesn't have culture to understand things, but she also understood that there's something that only men can do, right? From a capacity in helping to rear a young man. And I learned a lot from, and shout out to Bob Gord. He was great. He was the CEO of Cellular One, if you remember that, Cellular One for the Baltimore, Washington, Boston property, and did tremendously well. I understood quite a bit of business from him. I remember, it was a great story. I remember they were leasing cars, and at the time he was the CEO of a cable company, which was a venture with SBC, Southwestern Bell Communications. And he was, talking about leasing the car, but he hadn't decided. I said, "Oh my gosh, you got to get the Lexus, get the Lexus." And he was telling me, he's like, "Look, you don't have to get the flashiest car." And in retrospect, to me today, and no disrespect to anybody who has a Lexus, I don't think Lexus is a flashy car, but they got a flashy price tag. But I understood that when he started talking to me about colors and what colors represent in terms of the color of your car and what that means. He ended up leasing a Jeep Cherokee Laredo. I mean, it was leather, and it was a nice Jeep, whatever that is. But I understood over time what those things meant. He was extremely impactful. I learned, I think, so much from him in business that you couldn't learn in business school, or if you didn't learn trial by fire. And so I was able to avoid some pitfalls, because of his tutelage.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I feel like I also grew up without a father. My father passed when I was 6. But I feel like there's that.
Sorry to hear that.
No, thank you. But I feel like we share this kind of connection of, like, when you see somebody who's going to be a good mentor and have good advice, or just stuff that you can learn from, you perk up and you tune in, because not everyone can do that. And I think it's interesting because it's like, here's an opportunity for me to learn something, and I'm just going to try to learn as much as I can. And that's what I'm going to take from this situation.
Sure. You have to. Look, the one thing I think has been great, I've been a sponge. Whether I've learned some things I probably shouldn't have, but I understand it. But I've learned more great things that have been so fruitful in my life. You've got to be able to absorb what you can in the environment that is most conducive and positive to you, to kind of springboard you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. I mean, it even harkens back to when you talked about, I want to continue to eat better, which is mean consuming better. I remember wanting to go to see a pretty bad movie in my day of youth, and I was over at a friend's house, and his dad said, "Well, why do you want to?" Either that, or we were wanting to play a video game. I can't remember. Well, why do you want to do that? And I was, yeah, it's cool. It's a thing to do. And he says, well, he gets a wine glass and a bowl, and he gets puts some water in there and puts a couple of drops of food coloring. Says, well, this is the bad movie. And then he has a big pitcher of water that's clear, and he goes, how much good content do you think it's going to take to clear out all of the red that's in this wine glass? And I was just like, wow, that was super impactful. And like, had he decided to just be like, hey, this kid isn't my kid, I'm not going to go through this spiel. Because my friend had already gone through it. He's like, I've already seen this. Oh, God, Dad's whipping out the wine
dude,
glass.
Here he is with the dye again.
Yeah. So I appreciate people who do that, who just, and I remember just kind of having like an aha moment. Okay, fine. I guess I don't need that video game or that movie or whatever we were trying to go see.
Right.
So it was really impactful. I thought it was great.
But isn't but that goes back to, and pardon my interruption, that goes back to the give back, right? Like,
Right.
if we all did something, right? If we all said we're going to do something, this child is in my house, and it is clear that there is some guidance. I'm not this child's father, but I can give fatherly advice.
Uh-huh.
And then from you, you can kind of take what you want from that. But that advice, as you have clearly displayed and shown, and where you are today, you and Nate, look, it's been impactful, and it continues to help be a part of the lessons that you learn and actions that you take, right? And going back to that wine glass and the die. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, it's so this conversations like this just bring back all those memories, which is great to be reminded of that, because you just forget, sometimes to live the best you can.
Sure.
What a cool way. So if anyone's out there struggling, looking to try to either give back more, looking to try to further their business more, what is Nico's, point of advice, fatherly advice that we're going to give out today and leave people with a little tidbit to go the extra mile?
Yeah, well, one, thank you for even asking that I could even give advice. I think that in itself is humbling. And I take that serious because, look, people today can give advice, and it ain't necessarily what you should be doing.
Right.
I would say that, you have to be encouraged, is one. That regardless of whatever the current circumstance is, it is never your destiny. You have to know that at the end of the day, there are great things ahead. There are great things that are afoot for you to move forward. And then from a business perspective is to really, really look at what you want to accomplish. Not look at it from how much money I can make. Look at what the impact would be to the community or the group that you're looking to serve, the client base, or the service that you're offering. What is that impact? Because that says a lot, right, about, what you're doing. If you think about somebody who created an umbrella, right, they was like, damn, that's a great idea, right? Keeping the rain down. But over time, people have perfected the umbrella, right? We've got golf umbrellas. They're larger, and they got things that do things with wind. And I'm sure at some point, somebody said, when they were trying to recreate the umbrella, somebody said, you ain't really got to do that, right? It works. Right. Yep. There's always much improvement that can be done. And there's always space for you in the business community. I'll say that for everybody, right? There's space for you. You belong. And I think that is most important. That's what I would give.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Great advice. Nico, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know it took a while to get together, but I appreciate it. And obviously filling out my 30-point questionnaire. Hopefully it was worth your time, but I really enjoyed going over it and asking you some questions.
At the end of the day, sharing a stick with people and learning more about them and their experiences is the greatest thing. And I think that's in part why I love cigars, right? Because you don't have to know someone to sit down and that commonality is the stick. And before you know it, man, you're like, man, I know this guy for 20 years, right?
Right.
That's how you feel after leaving. And you can create lifetimes of friendships. So
absolutely.
So I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your platform.
This is exactly what this was for me. It was it's our favorite thing to do on Friday. It's so fun to just have a great conversation with somebody. So I have to leave it at that. I can't thank you guys enough. All of you out there who are watching, subscribe, because I hope you like the content. This isn't about cigars, but it is. It's bringing us together, and I love it. It's heartwarming. I'm learning a lot. I just enjoy it so much. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers to you. Have a blessed day.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.